Welcome to a battlefield of minds. Two grandmasters face off where every move cuts like a sword. One mistake, and it's over. This isn't just chess. It's war disguised as strategy. Let's dive in, move by move, into this epic clash. Wesley So opens with c4, pushing the queenside pawn forward, claiming space immediately, and setting a flexible, ambitious tone for the coming battle. Fabiano Caruana replies s6, calmly reinforcing dark squares, signaling a solid structure while quietly preparing central counterplay. Wesley So develops nc3, supporting the center and hinting strongly at an upcoming e4 thrust to seize early initiative. Fabiano Caruana answers nf6, developing naturally, eyeing fr, and preparing to contest the center without hesitation. Wesley So strikes with e4, boldly occupying the center, transforming the position into an immediate fight for dominance. Fabiano Caruana responds d5, hitting back at once, challenging Wesley So's central ambitions with classical precision. Wesley So plays cx d5. The pawn from c4 captures on d5, opening lines and accepting central confrontation head-on. Fabiano Caruana recaptures x5. The e-pawn restores material balance and opens the e-file for future activity. Wesley So advances f5, gaining space aggressively, kicking the knight's future squares and tightening his central grip. Fabiano Caruana jumps n4. The knight from f6 storms into the center, challenging Wesley So's structure with bravado. Wesley So develops nf3, directly attacking the centralized knight and reinforcing the advanced e5 pawn calmly. Fabiano Caruana plays bf5, activating the bishop from c8, targeting d3 and stepping confidently into the game. Wesley So responds b2, developing solidly, shielding the king and preparing smooth kingside castling. Fabiano Caruana mirrors with b7, prioritizing king's safety while keeping the position compact and resilient. Wesley So castles o, king slides to safety, rooks connect, and the middle game tension starts to simmer. Fabiano Caruana develops n-cheeks, adding pressure to d4 and e5, central tension thickening steadily. Wesley So plays d3, reinforcing the e4 pawn chain and choosing a controlled, strategic build-up. Fabiano Caruana captures nxc3. The knight from e4 takes on c3, inflicting structural damage with concrete intent. Wesley So recaptures bx3. The b-pawn takes the knight, accepting doubled pawns to open the b-file. Fabiano Caruana castles o, securing his king just in time as the battlefield promises escalating violence ahead. Wesley So pushes d4. The pawn from d3 storms forward, claiming central space and challenging Fabiano Caruana to react precisely. Fabiano Caruana answers q7. The queen steps from d8 to d7, connecting rooks and quietly preparing queenside coordination. Wesley So develops bd3. The bishop from e2 targets 7 directly, sharpening kingside attacking ideas with clear intent. Fabiano Caruana retreats na5. the knight from chicks reroutes towards c4, eyeing weak squares and counterplay. Wesley So plays re1, the rook from f1 centralizes, reinforcing f5 and aligning pieces for future tactical strikes. Fabiano Caruana jumps nc4. The knight from a5 lands on c4, attacking d2 and b2 with annoying positional pressure. Wesley So responds Rabone. The rook from a1 defends b2 and supports queenside stability, undergrowing tension. Fabiano Caruana captures bxd3. The bishop from f5 takes the bishop on d3, exchanging off an attacking piece. Wesley So recaptures qxd3. The queen from dun takes on d3, restoring material and centralizing with authority. Fabiano Caruana pushes b5. The pawn from b7 advances aggressively, grabbing space and launching queenside expansion. Wesley So plays nd2. The knight from f3 retreats to d2, reinforcing c4 pressure points and preparing reroutes. Fabiano Caruana answers Rabate. The rook from 8 slides to bait, lining up behind the b-pawn with clear purpose. Wesley So jumps nb3. The knight from d2 heads to b3, immediately challenging the c5 and a5 squares. Fabiano Caruana shifts rb6. The rook from bait lifts to b6, defending b5 and keeping lateral rook options. Wesley So develops b4. The bishop from cone activates, eyeing 7 and strengthening central control. Fabiano Caruana fires, qg4. The queen from 7 lunges forward, attacking d4 and g3, testing Wesley So's nerve. Wesley So responds bj3. The bishop from f4 retreats to g3, sidestepping threats while maintaining harmony. Fabiano Caruana repositions qg6. The queen pulls back from g4 to g6, keeping pressure without overcommitting. Wesley So centralizes qf3. The queen from d3 moves to f3, coordinating rooks and hinting at kingside ideas. Fabiano Caruana pushes a5. The pawn from a6 advances to a5, expanding queenside space and threatening a4. Wesley So plays rb dun. The rook from bone slides to dun, reinforcing the center and preparing to contest open files decisively. Fabiano Caruana answers qct2. The queen from g6 invades c2, eyeing dun and b2 with concrete tactical threats. Wesley So captures qx5. The queen from f3 takes on d5, grabbing material boldly and centralizing under pressure. Fabiano Caruana strikes back qx2. The queen from c2 snatches the a2 pawn, counter-attacking on the queen side immediately. Wesley So jumps nc5. The knight from b3 lands aggressively on c5, hitting b7 and 7, increasing the squeeze. Fabiano Caruana responds r-date. The rook from fight comes to date, contesting the open file and bracing for impact. Wesley So lunges n7. The knight from c5 dives into d7, attacking f6 and b6, creating serious coordination problems. Fabiano Caruana plays cheeks. The pawn from 7 pushes forward, kicking the knight and trying to loosen the bind. Wesley So retreats qf4. The queen from d5 slides back to e4, staying central and keeping multiple threats alive. Fabiano Caruana shifts ra6. The rook from 8 swings to a6, defending laterally and guarding queenside weaknesses. Wesley So thrusts e6. The pawn from e5 storms to s6, detonating the center and ripping open dark square lines. Fabiano Caruana answers f6. The pawn from 7 steps to f6, an ugly but forced move to blunt the central explosion. Wesley So pushes d5. The pawn from d4 advances, piling pressure onto the center as the position cracks audibly. Fabiano Caruana captures cx5. The pawn from 6 takes on d5, opening files while conceding dangerous activity. Wesley So recaptures qx-5. The queen from e4 returns to d5, dominating central squares with ruthless control. Fabiano Caruana retreats qb3. The queen from a2 slides to b3, stepping away while clinging to counterplay. Wesley So plays qb7. The queen from di5 invades b7, threatening everywhere and seizing full initiative. Fabiano Caruana captures rxc6. The rook from a6 takes on s6, eliminating the advanced pawn to slow the assault. Wesley So responds qd5. The queen from b7 snaps back to d5, refusing to release central dominance. Fabiano Caruana plays nd2. The knight from c4 drops to d2, blocking lines and scrambling defensively. Wesley So plays qxb3. The queen from d5 captures on b3, simplifying decisively and stripping Fabiano Caruana of queenside counterplay. Fabiano Caruana responds in xb3. The knight from d2 recaptures on b3, regaining material but remaining awkwardly placed. Wesley So strikes rxcx. The rook from a1 captures on s6, removing a central pawn and opening lines for technical domination. Fabiano Caruana plays kf7. The king steps from gate to f7, centralizing reluctantly as the endgame pressure mounts. Wesley So plays re1. The rook from a6 retreats to a1, doubling rooks and preparing clean, methodical conversion. Fabiano Caruana pushes f4. The pawn from a5 advances, creating a passer as a last practical try. Wesley So develops bc7. The bishop from four moves to 7, attacking the rook and tightening the positional bind. Fabiano Caruana answers r8. The rook from date slides to sate, defending 7 and holding material balance briefly. Wesley So plays bd6. The bishop from 7 steps to 6, dominating central squares and provoking forced exchanges. Fabiano Caruana captures bs6. The bishop from e7 takes on 6, forced to relieve overwhelming pressure. Wesley So recaptures rsd6. The rook from dun captures on 6, seizing the open file and asserting full control. Fabiano Caruana responds rxct3. The rook from sate captures on c3, grabbing pawns in a desperate bid for activity. Wesley So plays nb6. The knight from c4 jumps to b6, attacking sate and afar, tightening the endgame vice with precise domination. Fabiano Caruana advances a3. The pawn from a4 pushes forward, hoping for distraction on the queenside. Wesley So jumps in d5. The knight from b6 returns to d5, centralized and dominating key entry squares. Fabiano Caruana plays rc4. The rook from c3 moves to c4, seeking counterplay along the fourth rank. Wesley So plays ra6. The rook from d6 swings to a6, cutting off the a-pawn and killing counterplay. Fabiano Caruana pushes b4. The pawn from b5 advances, a final attempt to complicate the position. Wesley So answers ra4. The rook from a6 drops to a4, blockading both pawns with perfect technique. Fabiano Caruana plays n-con. The knight from b3 retreats to con, passive and nearly trapped. Wesley So captures rx b4. The rook from a4 takes the pawn on b4, eliminating the last queenside threat. Fabiano Caruana advances a2. The pawn from a3 reaches a2, a lone promotion hope. Wesley So delivers rb7. The rook from b4 races to b7, checking the king and sealing black's fate. Fabiano Caruana steps kg6. The king from f7 moves to g6, escaping check but not the inevitable. Wesley So plays re7. The rook from b7 slides to a7, perfectly stopping the passed pawn. Fabiano Caruana responds rc2 nai. The rook from c4 goes to c2, clinging to activity in a lost position. Wesley So plays nb4. The knight from d5 jumps to b4, attacking c2 and tightening the net. Fabiano Caruana plays rb2. The rook from c2 retreats to b2, the final defensive shuffle. Wesley So finishes with rx con. The rook from a1 captures on con, winning the knight as Fabiano Caruana resigns. The video ends here. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate your time. Please don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe to the channel to support me. Thank you again, everyone. See you in the next video.